Hello, everybody. Welcome to our third live.
It is the third, isn't it?
Third live, yeah. And I have a number of topics that we want to talk about today. Let me see if I can bring the comments up, Mama. Oh, we got the green screen going again.
I thought the comments naturally just came up when people comment.
Yeah, but how do I close the green screen? Okay, there we go. Look at what I'm doing.
You're trying to bedazzle it.
I guess so. I guess when people comment, it'll just come up. Today, I'd like to talk about government overreach, family tyranny, what's been happening to our family, to educate and arm Americans with the truth, so you can be prepared when your doorbell rings. You know, we have a happy, healthy home here. We have a functional American family. You know, no one's perfect. We got our ups and downs. We got our problems. Sometimes we yell at each other. That's not great. Hey, welcome to our stream. But we love each other, and we're trying to make a better, healthier, happier home for our children. And we have a peaceful home. You know, the tragedy of all this for us is that there are children out there that are actually in neglectful homes, that are being abused. And no one is seeing to them. They're spending taxpayer dollars to rip apart a perfectly functional and happy, healthy home.
Just put it here for now.
We're eating right now. Hello.
I got this nice rubber mat for the patio.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It'll contain some of the water.
I saw a heavy box out front that we have to bring inside.
Yes, that's for the patio.
Why would someone... Oh, I don't know if you've been following our story, Jessica. Have you been following our story on YouTube? I've actually come on live today to announce my podcast. Do I know Turkey? I know where it is on a map. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. We hope and pray that our children get to stay with their family, because that's where children belong, is with their families. And we need to refocus and recalibrate CPS's mission and turn them away from ripping apart functional American families without an emergency cause or due process of law. We need to turn their mission into uniting families. This should be called United Safe Families. United Safe Families. That's so much better. But I'm subbed, so I came. Thank you for coming, Jessica. We do appreciate it. We're over here talking about tyranny, government overreach, and how it impacts every American family. You know, what's more important to Americans than their families?
Make sure you close the door and lock the car.
What's more important to you than your children? That's what we work for. That's what we build for. That's what we're trying to create as family. And every country in the world is made up of families. Families are the basic building block of every nation. This is a serious live, and we're talking about government overreach. I would like to answer those questions. So if you're going to spam with that stuff, I'm just going to hide my channel from you. Much better. Yep. You know, it's crazy that the system can be weaponized against you through lies and hearsay alone. Nothing else. A social services worker with an affidavit can take your children away from you. They conduct investigations without ever contacting you. I mean, you say that now until they come to your house with SWAT, assault rifles, you know, like the only way to fight them is in court. You know, they come in to take your kids through hearsay and allegations, trumped up charges, you know, like if she had genuine concerns Sorry, I had a phone call just come in, so I don't know what happened. If the CPS worker, if DSS, social services, had genuine concerns that they wanted to investigate, they could have called us. They could have emailed. They could have video chatted. We could have sent them pictures.
You take that back upstairs.
There is no drug use here. There has never been any drug use. I mean, throwing out allegations and accusations like that don't make them true, Drake. That's pretty malicious, actually. Like coming here and trying to defame us by saying that we use drugs or something like that. That's exactly what the government is doing. You know, government bots and CPS like Drake are out in full force right now, defaming me, trying to drag my name and my service through the mud for no cause except that they're going to lose their jobs and they're out here to defame me. They're trolls, they're government paid actors and bots. And I'm going to deal with that because they're going to cut up all of this. What's the truth? You think that we were on fentanyl? Is that the truth? On my son Adonis. Okay, if you're going to continue to troll my stream without any truth or any, I'm going to have to hide you because you're disruptive. You know, I think we can have a serious discussion. I think we can have a serious discussion here because nothing matters, regardless of whether you're a troll or not. Nothing matters more to us than our family. Nothing to any American should matter more than your own family. And when they can come and rip your family apart based on nothing but hearsay, no emergency, no cause, no due process of law. You know, like you may not like the way I look, but I wouldn't wish my worst enemy's daughter to be ripped out of her mother's arm. You may not like the way I live. You may not like me. But what did my wife and the baby do to be ripped apart from one another without due process, cause, emergency? We're a normal family trying to get by. And this kind of pressure rips apart American families, rips them apart, and normally they don't recover. Well, there's safety in the light for us. We had no choice but to come out into the light. What's happened for us is that the government that I served honorably is out here crushing us. And we had no choice but to step out into the light and tell our story to everybody, not just to protect ourselves because there's safety in the light. They won't crush us in silence and darkness. But also to educate and arm Americans with the truth so they can be prepared when their doorbell rings. Wow. Why do you think I'm trying to save my family from government overreach and tyranny? So this is another, I guess, paid bot government actor. I mean, I don't know. You guys can check them out and see how many subs they have. They're out in full force. They're out here to defame me with nothing but allegations, nothing but defamation. And that's all it is defamation without actual convictions. I don't have a criminal history or record. I'm an American citizen. I served honorably. I live in my hometown. I've lived here my whole life. This guy and thousands of bots like him can yippity yap whatever they want. Doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it real. There's no convictions on my record. Your beard looks nice enough.
It is an awesome beard.
Seiki says that she charges 50%, $50 a compliment. So it's expensive fighting the government. We're kind of broke right now because we're taking on the behemoth. We're on our own out here and we're fighting CPS, DSS, DFS, DCSE, and we're trying to fight the good fight for American families. What we're trying to do is fix a broken system for American families that are marginalized. Mainly these guys go after vulnerable kids from poor families who can't fight them back. And I mean, it's up to us to stand up for our liberties and because we don't have any if we don't. This is tyranny and government overreach that impacts what's most important to us, our family. And most people can't believe that this can happen to them. They think there must be a reason. Like I'm guilty of something. There has to be. It can't possibly be that they came and they took this little baby away from her mama for no good cause. But we proved it in court. We got the babies back at. Why is her pants falling down?
No, I'm putting them on. I'm putting them on.
So,
Oh.
nobody would ever slap a baby, Tanya. That's a ridiculous statement to make. And you know the trolls are out in full force. Like they're going to defame us and they're going to say mean things that are untrue. But the reality is that we're just a normal American family, and the government is ignoring neglect and abuse that's real from families out there that are actually not on their radar, that they're not investigating. It's crazy. They can be weaponized by lies from exes that have an axe to grind in custody court. And they just sit back and they watch and they laugh. They have no consequences. And it could happen to you too, you know, like it could happen to your kin, your family. Let's see, what are the questions that I'm missing? So there's trolls everywhere, and you know, I'm not going to engage with trolls. And most comments, you know, like I let them go. If I don't want to answer your question, I won't answer it. Like I feel like I'm old enough that I've earned the right not to respond to everybody. Especially people who are in here and bad actors and bad faith, and they're, you know, trolling, and you know, they think they're funny, and they're probably the only people that are funny to, you know, themselves. And if they spam my stream, guess what's gonna happen? Okay, Dave, I've given you as many chances as I can. You know, I think we can all agree that whether or not you like me or whether or not you agree with how I live my life, because you don't know me, you don't know how I live my life or what my beliefs are, that ripping a baby and her mother, breastfeeding mother, away from each other on hearsay allegations against the father is not an emergency. It's not cause. There's children out there that are suffering real neglect. This is serious government overreach, and it can affect any of us. Um, it's up to you guys to stand up and educate yourselves and arm yourselves with the truth so you can see through. You know, when a CPS employee shows up at your door with 3 police, one hiding in the bushes, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to open the door and let them put you in cuffs?
Nope.
They want you to speak, Mama.
Oh, speak
Yeah,
about
I'm
what?
always the one speaking, actually, and they're right, kind of.
Well, I'm more of the quiet one that lets him takes the lead. So
You know, I
it was
talked to her.
definitely heartbreaking when they came and took her. So they threatened me with an Amber Alert if I didn't bring her to them, which I thought was pretty ridiculous. I just had gone to the store and I didn't know that they were even coming back. So
They threatened her with an Amber Alert if she didn't come back. They threatened her with felony abduction of her own children. They threatened me with SWAT. The Commonwealth attorney talked to my lawyer and told him that if she doesn't come back, they're going to charge her with felony abduction of her own children. For what? She was never served.
how the whole process happened is his ex had been talking to this CPS worker, and the CPS worker had been manipulating my daughter at her school, been taking her out of the classroom. I had no idea. And then all of a sudden, she shows up at the door wanting to see this one. And because of how it was very sketchy, obviously we didn't open up the door. And then the very next day, they wanted to come and take him. And they did. So, very little warning, very little knowledge of anything. And public schools do not tell you if there's somebody there talking with your children either. So we will be homeschooling after this year.
I think you have better outcomes when you homeschool and you don't have to abdicate the right to your children's values. You know, schools don't have a right to teach our children values. We teach our children values as parents, right? You want your children to espouse your values. You want them to grow up to be little copies of you, at least have, free thinking and your values, your value system, your principles, whatever they may be. As Americans, we have a right to our principles and values. It's serious government overreach to come here and tell me that they know better to how to raise my children than I do. And each family in America has a right to their kids. You know, I think that we need to recalibrate and change CPS's mission to be about keeping families united, not trafficking their kids into a profitable foster hell. You know, when we traffic these children into foster hell, they can't come back, no matter how much they beg. I'm so glad I caught you live. I spent the last 4 hours this morning with y'all's videos cry and breakdown. Got me and didn't lose my babies to CPS, but death because of CPS. Oh, Helen, our heart goes out to you and we'll pray for you. Thank you very much for your support. It means a lot to us. The people who follow us, we want to educate and shine a light on this injustice that CPS is committing on families across America. Through nothing but hearsay allegations, they can be weaponized. They neglect to focus on real cases of abuse, and instead they come after families that are functional, families that are, there's nothing wrong with them. She is a gentle mother, Amy. Thank you. I'm so
Yes,
happy
thank you,
that you
ma'am.
reminded me. Please know my family is screaming from the rooftops. And thank you so much, Sandra Blatter. So that means so. Your words of encouragement and support, they mean everything to us. We're going up against really
The devil
colossal
itself.
odds. It's difficult. It's really challenging, and we appreciate you sharing our story and shining a light on the injustice happening here. These children, they deserve to be in their father and mother's life, and every child in the country deserves to stay with its biological parents. They had them. They want them. And
Yes.
we need to maybe retrain some of them. Maybe some of them can do better.
CPS had no intention on giving them back, and they didn't even have a checkbox to release them. The judge had to make his own box and check it, and he was very furious at the fact that they were taken in the first place.
Yeah, the judge wasn't very happy about it, but the court decorum and everything. But it was obvious that these CPS workers acted outside the law. And they're pressing their case, and they're going to make it difficult for anybody who wants to work with me to work with me. Because anybody who wants to work with me has to go before these family courts and go before, these judges and these prosecutors and everybody else. And they need to have a working relationship with them. It's very difficult for people to represent cases like ours unless they're from out of state. Greetings from Russia. I congratulate you on the victory day against Nazi Germany. I think this is a troll. Our country has warped. It's the destruction of American family, is what we're talking about. Amy, we're talking about. All right.
I'll be back.
We're talking about what amounts to the taxpayer-funded destruction of American families.
This thing. Oh, okay.
That's very impolite, Dawn. With a name like Dawn and coming out like that, that's really disrespectful. Hello, Seppi. And I want to thank everybody for being here and listening to our story and following along with us. I like to keep our lives eventful and keep it informative to people. Emily got me food to eat, and I've been neglecting to eat it for the last 20 minutes. I've been talking to you all for good reason. I want all of you to be educated on what could happen to your families here in America. You think you're free and you have due process of law, you have civil rights. Just wait until they come with cops and take your children from you with nothing but hearsay that's been weaponized against you. Educate yourselves. Arm yourselves with the truth. Call your congressmen, senators. I'm hashtagging everyone, including Donald Trump. I think it's important that we all stand together because no change is going to happen unless we stand together. I can't fight this fight alone by myself. I need everybody's support. I'm launching a podcast and I'm very serious about wanting to reform this system to keep American families together. I hope that all of you will stand with me, and I appreciate your support. Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna end my live now, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for the hearts. Appreciate it.